Story 1. As the new manager at Target, my first big task was an overdue audit of our sprawling backroom. It was a labyrinth of forgotten inventory, a place where time seemed to slow down. This happened to me. The backroom was infamous. Decades of stock, seasonal decorations, and forgotten promotional displays accumulated, creating a dusty, disorganized maze. No one had properly sorted it in years. My predecessor had avoided this task, leaving me with a monumental undertaking. I armed myself with a clipboard and a flashlight, ready to tackle the forgotten corners of the store. The air was thick with the scent of cardboard and stale dust. Rows of towering shelves cast long shadows, making it feel less like a retail space and more like an ancient tomb. I pressed on. I navigated past pallets of outdated electronics and forgotten holiday decor. My audit was meticulous, but the sheer scale of the backroom was daunting, each turn revealing more forgotten relics. Deep within a section rarely visited, I noticed something peculiar. A segment of the concrete wall felt different, smoother than the rough, painted cinder blocks surrounding it. It hummed faintly. Behind a stack of ancient, yellowed shelving units, I found a small, unassuming door. It was camouflaged, almost perfectly blending into the wall, covered in layers of grime and dust. No handle was visible, just a faint outline where a frame should be. It wasn't on any blueprints I'd seen, nor had any long-term employee ever mentioned such an entrance. This was my first red flag. Curiosity, or perhaps a premonition, compelled me. I tugged at the edge, scraping my nails against the cold metal. It groaned, resisting, as if unwilling to reveal its secrets. With a grunt, I managed to pry a corner loose. A sliver of impenetrable darkness was revealed, and a gust of air, unnaturally cold and stale, wafted out, carrying an earthy, metallic scent. I forced the door further open, revealing a heavy, rusted hinge. It was clear this wasn't just a utility closet. The craftsmanship was crude, almost makeshift, unlike any other part of Target. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness. The space beyond was a void, deeper than I expected. My heart pounded, every instinct screamed to turn back, but I couldn't. The silence was absolute, a heavy blanket muffling all sound. It was the kind of silence that pressed in on you, that made your ears ring, utterly unnatural for a bustling retail store. A thick layer of undisturbed dust covered everything, a testament to how long this area had remained hidden. This wasn't just old, it felt ancient, disconnected from the modern world outside. I stepped inside, my footsteps echoing unnervingly. The air was frigid, making my breath fog. This was a place not meant to be found, a secret buried deep within Target's foundations. The hidden level was a single, rectangular room, surprisingly large. The walls were rough-hewn stone, not the cinder blocks used elsewhere. It was a stark, almost primal contrast. My flashlight beam danced across the walls, revealing strange, almost ritualistic carvings faintly etched into the stone. They were primitive, unsettling, unlike anything I'd ever seen. The oppressive silence intensified, pressing down on me. I felt a palpable sense of dread, as if the very air was charged with a forgotten, malevolent energy. This was not just a storage room. The floor was packed earth, not concrete, covered in an even thicker layer of dust. This entire section felt like it predated the store, perhaps even the land it was built upon. I realized then that this space wasn't on any official blueprints for a terrifying reason. It was never meant to be known. It was an anomaly, a phantom limb of the store. A shiver ran down my spine despite the heavy work jacket I wore. The cold wasn't just physical, it was a chill that seeped into my bones, a warning from the forgotten past. I felt a distinct sense of being watched, an unseen gaze piercing through the gloom. I spun around but saw nothing, just the impenetrable darkness beyond my flashlight's reach. The air grew heavy, almost suffocating. It was difficult to breathe, as if something was slowly draining the oxygen from the room. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't just a forgotten corner, it was a place that had been deliberately concealed. The implications were chilling, hinting at secrets far darker than misplaced inventory. I swallowed hard, my mouth dry. I knew I shouldn't be here, but a morbid fascination, a need to understand, kept me rooted. My audit had unearthed something truly sinister. Among archaic wooden storage bins that looked like they belonged in a colonial-era general store, I found peculiar, non-retail items. These were not for sale at Target. Crudely fashioned tools, dull and stained, lay scattered. They resembled surgical instruments, but far more primitive, designed for something unsettling and specific. Bundles of dried herbs, brittle and dark, hung from hooks. Their scent was acrid, medicinal, and vaguely sweet, a smell I couldn't quite place, yet it filled me with unease. Then, nestled in a dusty corner, I saw it, a small, leather-bound logbook. Its cover was worn smooth, its pages yellowed and brittle, beckoning me closer with its untold stories. I hesitated, my hand trembling as I reached for it. This book felt like a gateway, a direct link to whatever dark purpose this hidden room once served. I had to know. Opening the logbook, I found faded, frantic handwriting. It detailed an unsanctioned, clandestine operation by previous employees, not typical Target business. The entries spoke of experiments, vague and terrifying. References to specimens and containment sent a cold shiver through my entire body. What had they been doing here? One phrase recurred, the growing presence. It hinted at something malevolent, something that had been awakened or drawn to their activities within the store's hidden depths. The later entries became increasingly erratic, scrawled in desperation. The writer's sanity seemed to unravel with each chilling observation of this presence they had disturbed. I read about strange energy fluctuations, whispering voices, and a pervasive dread. This wasn't just a secret project, it was a desperate attempt to control something they couldn't. After my discovery, the store felt different. Cold spots appeared in empty aisles even when the HVAC was working perfectly. I'd feel them suddenly, chilling me to the bone. Whispers seemed to drift from empty corners just at the edge of hearing. They were indistinct, like a muffled conversation, but always there, lurking in the periphery of sound. Lights in the backroom flickered erratically, sometimes dimming completely for a second before surging back. It was never a power surge, it felt deliberate, a playful menace. The feeling of being watched became constant. Even when alone, sorting stock or closing up, I felt an invisible gaze on my back, a prickling sensation on my neck. I started seeing fleeting shadows in my peripheral vision, just quick enough to disappear when I turned my head. My sleep became restless, haunted by images of the hidden room. The presence intensified. I found items moved on shelves overnight, not just dislodged, but clearly shifted, sometimes arranged in unsettling patterns. It was unsettling proof. Distorted reflections would appear in the security monitors, a fleeting, dark shape behind me in an empty aisle, gone before I could fully register it. My nerves were frayed. The scratching started, faint at first, then growing louder. It emanated from behind the hidden door, a relentless, guttural sound, like something trying to claw its way out. The air in the back room grew heavy, oppressive. I felt a crushing weight, as if the very atmosphere was pressing down on me, trying to suffocate me with unseen force. I'd hear my name whispered close to my ear when no one was around. It was a cold, sibilant sound filled with malice, stripping away my sense of security. I was terrified. The logbook's final, frantic entry was a desperate warning: failed containment. It feeds on fear. Never disturb the slumbering, a chilling prophecy now manifesting around me. Driven by fear and a desperate need for answers, I returned to the hidden room alone. The door, previously a struggle, slammed shut behind me with a sickening thud, sealing me in. The temperature plummeted, my breath visible in the frigid air. A terrifying, formless shadow began to coalesce from the deepest corner, whispering my name, trying to break my will. Panic surged, but I fought back. I managed to escape the room, sealing it shut with whatever I could find: heavy shelving, pallets, anything to barricade that sinister entrance. I reported the incident, but my story was met with skepticism, attributed to stress. I'm transferred now, but the memory of Target's hidden level and its malevolent presence haunts me. I wonder if it still waits, sealed away, for someone else to stumble upon its terrifying secret. Story 2, this happened to me. The graveyard shift at Target was usually a quiet comfort. The familiar hum of refrigerators and the distant drone of the ventilation system were my only companions, a rhythm I knew well. I'll never forget that night. The store was a silent beast after closing, save for those mechanical murmurs. I found a strange peace in the solitude, moving through the empty aisles, restocking shelves, preparing for the morning rush. It was my sanctuary, or so I thought. My routine was precise: electronics, then apparel, followed by groceries. The PA system would occasionally crackle to life with a forgotten announcement or a test tone, a normal part of the background noise, nothing unusual at first. But then came a subtle shift, a faint, distorted whisper amidst the usual static. I paused, duster in hand, listening. Was it just a faulty speaker, my tired imagination playing tricks? I shrugged it off, attributing it to fatigue. The feeling persisted, a fleeting sense of something almost said, a word just out of reach. I checked the time, 2:37 a.m. Long hours alone could do strange things to your mind. I tried to focus on my task, pushing the unease away. It happened again, clearer this time, a fragmented sound like a broken record playing a distant voice. I stopped dead in the cereal aisle, my heart giving a little lurch. This wasn't just static, this was something else. My name, I swear I heard it, a soft, barely audible whisper, distorted but unmistakable. Narrator's name. The air conditioning unit hummed loudly, trying to drown it out, but the sound was burned into my mind. I spun around, scanning the empty aisles. No one. The store was locked down, secured. My flashlight beam cut through the shadows, revealing only silent products. Who could be here? How could they know my name? Panic began to prickle at the back of my neck. I tried to convince myself it was a prank, but that made no sense. No one else was here. This was just me, the products, and the unsettling silence punctuated by whispers. I decided to check the PA system control room. Maybe a loose wire, a radio interference. I needed a logical explanation, something tangible to fight back against this growing dread. My pace quickened. The control room was dark and dusty, filled with blinking lights and humming servers. Everything looked normal. No red flags, no exposed wires, just the quiet thrum of machinery. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the AC. As I stood there, a speaker above the console crackled, and then, clear as day, a voice, not human, not mechanical, but something in between, said, "You're scared, aren't you?" It was undeniably addressing me. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't a faulty speaker. This was sentient. It knew, it was talking to me. The words echoed in the small room, chilling me to the bone. Who's there?" I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. The voice chuckled, a dry, rasping sound that resonated deep within my chest. "We've been waiting for you." It spoke of my childhood fear of the dark, of the time I stole a candy bar from a convenience store at age 7, details only I knew. My mind reeled. How could it know? These were thoughts, memories, secrets buried deep. The PA system was not just speaking, it was listening. It had been listening to every thought, every worry, every silent moment. I stumbled out of the control room, a cold sweat drenching my uniform. The once comforting hum of the store now felt like a predatory purr. Every speaker, every ventilation shaft seemed to watch me, waiting. The whispers followed me. Remember that fight with your sister, the one you never told anyone about? A secret argument replayed in distorted echoes. It was violating, utterly horrifying. I felt exposed, naked. I tried unplugging a speaker in the toy section. The voice simply moved to the next one, closer, clearer. That won't work, we are everywhere. It laughed again, a sound that scraped against my sanity. The messages turned sinister. Be careful on your drive home. The roads are dark tonight. A direct threat implying knowledge of my personal life beyond the store. My heart hammered against my ribs. Then came the ultimate terror. Your family misses you. It would be a shame if they never saw you again. It knew about my loved ones. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about them. The store's background music, usually a bland pop mix, began to warp. Notes stretched, distorted, becoming a discordant prelude to the voice. Every crackle, every pop was a potential new torment, a new revelation. I ran to the manager's office, fumbling for the phone. I needed help. I needed to report this. But as my hand reached the receiver, the voice boomed from the office speaker. Who are you going to call? They won't believe you. It was right. Who would believe me that the Target PA system was a sentient, malevolent entity? I'd sound insane. I dropped the phone, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I was truly alone in this nightmare. I tried to hide, to find a place it couldn't reach. The back stockroom, the employee break room, but the voice followed, a chilling omnipresence. There's no escape, we know where you are. Every speaker in every aisle, once distinct, began to synchronize. The whispers converged, forming a chorus of my deepest fears. A unified, monstrous entity. It was no longer just speaking asterisk to asterisk me, it was speaking asterisk through asterisk me. My childhood fears, my secret arguments, my unspoken anxieties all recounted in a horrifying, distorted chorus. My own thoughts, twisted and amplified, became my tormentors. It was using my own mind against me. You can't leave, the unified voice boomed, resonating through every fiber of my being. You belong here, with us. The air grew heavy, thick with unseen pressure. I felt trapped, utterly helpless. I remember the desperate rush, the adrenaline coursing through me. I had to get out. I ran towards the employee exit, the voice screaming behind me, echoing my own name in 1,000 distorted tones. The security alarm blared as I burst through the door, abandoning my post, my job, everything. The cool night air hit my face but offered no solace. The silence outside was just as terrifying. I drove away, not looking back, but the images, the voices, were seared into my mind. I knew I could never step foot in a Target again or any store with a PA system without feeling that icy dread. Weeks passed. I tried to move on, to forget, but every public address system, every faint hum of machinery brings me back. The grocery store, the airport, even the school intercom, they all sound different now. Is it truly off? Is it gone? Or is it just waiting for its next target, its next lonely night shift worker? I hear echoes, faint whispers in the most unexpected places. This horror continues. I tried therapy, but how do you explain a sentient PA system? They just nod sympathetically, prescribing pills for anxiety. They don't understand the truth of what I experienced. I avoid places with loud speakers. My phone is always on silent. The world has become a minefield of potential auditory tormentors. Every unexpected sound sends a jolt of terror through me. The memory of its voice, recounting my deepest, most private fears, is a constant loop in my head. It feels like my mind was invaded, my soul touched by something unspeakably evil. I sometimes wonder if it's still there in that Target store, waiting, waiting for another unsuspecting soul to walk into its web to become its next confidante, its next victim. The thought that it might still be active, twisting mundane announcements into personalized terror, sends shivers down my spine. Is someone else hearing their secrets whispered through the aisles now? I check the news, morbidly searching for anything unusual related to that specific target. Any strange incidents, any employees quitting abruptly, nothing ever appears, making me doubt my own sanity. But the fear is too real, too visceral. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a hallucination. That PA system, that store, it was alive, and it spoke to me. I can still hear the rasping chuckle, the chilling demand to stay. It haunts my waking hours and invades my nightmares. Sleep offers no true escape from its lingering presence. Sometimes, late at night in the quietest moments, I think I hear it again. A faint crackle, a whisper on the edge of hearing, just beyond the range of normal sound. It's always there. The mundane world now feels thin, a veil over something far more sinister. The hum of electronics, the static on a radio, they all hold a new, terrifying meaning for me. I often find myself checking the speakers in my own home, nervously. Are they off? Are they truly silent? Or are they just pretending, waiting for me to drop my guard? The fear is a constant companion, a shadow that never leaves. It changed me fundamentally. I'm no longer just an employee, I'm a survivor marked by an unseen entity. They say truth is stranger than fiction. This is my truth. A story I can barely tell, because how do you make someone believe the inanimate can become a sentient, malevolent force? The memory of the store's emptiness, those vast, silent aisles, now feels like a stage set for my personal torment. The fluorescent lights, once comforting, are now the harsh glare of an interrogation. Every time I pass a Target, my stomach clenches. I glance at the speakers near the entrance, half expecting to hear my name or a chilling secret broadcast for all to hear. I wonder about the new night shift employees. Do they hear it? Do they dismiss the faint whispers as static, just like I did before it escalated into full-blown terror? The PA system's dark broadcast, it wasn't just a system, it was a hungry entity feeding on fear and secrets, and it had found a taste for mine. I was its target. And now I live with the knowledge that it's out there, everywhere. In every public address system, every faint hum, it's just waiting, always waiting. Is it truly off or just biding its time for its next target? Story 3. I'm Alex, a visual merchandiser at Target. My job is usually mundane, updating digital signage, making sure everything looks perfect. This happened to me, and it changed everything about how I see screens. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. One Tuesday morning, a screen in aisle 7 started acting up. It was supposed to show a new seasonal promotion for home goods, but it flickered. I initially thought it was just a loose cable, a common nuisance in retail tech. Nothing serious, just an annoyance. It displayed weird, static-laced images for a split second, a jumble of colors and shapes like a bad television signal from decades ago. I blinked and it was gone, replaced by the correct, crisp promotion. I brushed it off, thinking my eyes were playing tricks. Then it reverted. Instead of the new promo, it showed old Target ads from the 90s. Grainy, low-resolution images of VHS tapes and dial-up modems, not the current, high-definition content I had uploaded just hours before. This was genuinely odd. I'd reset it, re-upload the correct content from my tablet. The process was standard, something I did multiple times a day. It usually fixed any minor display issues instantly. I watched it intently, expecting it to behave this time. It would be fine for an hour, maybe 2. The new promotional loop would play perfectly, cycling through vibrant product shots. I'd move on to other tasks, convinced the problem was solved, just a minor software hiccup. I was wrong. Then, without warning, it would revert again, Back to the 90s ads, sometimes even earlier, like distorted public service announcements from the 70s. It was like a ghost in the machine, refusing to be updated. This happened repeatedly over several days. The first time, I just thought it was a fluke, maybe a faulty memory chip in the display unit. I even joked about it to a colleague, saying the screen was having a retro moment. We laughed, but a tiny seed of unease was planted. Perhaps a software bug, a bad connection, or some obscure network interference. I tried to rationalize it, find a logical explanation for the bizarre behavior. My job was about order, and this was pure chaos. It defied all logic. I made a note to check it again tomorrow, planning to run diagnostics. I even considered swapping it out for a spare, but that involved paperwork and managerial approval, which I wanted to avoid if it was a simple fix. I should have acted sooner. Then it started showing images I didn't recognize at all. Not old Target ads, but something far more unsettling. Photos that seemed to originate from a completely different reality. My stomach tightened with a new kind of dread. Grainy, anachronistic photos flashed across the screen. Images of forgotten towns, empty streets, crumbling storefronts. Places that felt like they existed outside of time, devoid of any modern markers. They felt strangely melancholic. Sometimes old family portraits from eras long past would appear. Stern faces, formal attire, eyes that seemed to stare directly out of the frame. They were unsettling, like glimpses into stolen memories. Who were these people? These images were mixed with cryptic, single-word messages. Watch or listen would flash for a fraction of a second, stark white text on a black background before the next unsettling image appeared. It felt like a command, a warning. This happened to me. I'll never forget the chill that ran down my spine each time. It wasn't just random data corruption. The specificity, the deliberate nature of the messages started to suggest something else entirely, something intelligent. It wasn't just a glitch anymore, it felt deliberate, like someone or something was intentionally manipulating the display. The thought made my blood run cold. Who would do this and why? Was it a prank? It didn't feel like one. I started documenting the anomalies with my phone, taking quick, shaky videos of the strange images and messages. I needed proof, something tangible to show my superiors or even IT. My sanity felt like it was on the line. No one else seemed to notice these brief flashes. Shoppers would walk by, oblivious. Colleagues would glance at the screen, see the correct promotion, and move on. Was I the only one seeing it? Was I going crazy? The isolation was almost as terrifying as the glitches themselves. I felt like I was living in a different reality, where a screen in aisle 7 held a secret only I was privy to. It was a heavy, suffocating burden. I tried to talk to a manager, but without concrete evidence, it sounded like I was imagining things. The glitches became more frequent and disturbingly specific. It wasn't just generic old photos anymore. It felt like it was learning, adapting, targeting me. The feeling of being watched intensified daily. I was on edge. One morning, I saw distorted images of my own car in the Target parking lot. My beat-up sedan with its distinctive bumper sticker. It was unmistakable. How did it get that image? Panic started to bubble up inside me. Later, a blurry, almost unrecognizable photo of my workstation appeared. My messy desk, my personal coffee mug. It was taken from an angle no one should have been able to get unless they were hovering above me. My blood ran cold. Messages like "you're tired" or "we see you" started appearing, making my blood run cold. They weren't just random words, they were observations, comments on my state. It was personal, intimate, and utterly terrifying. It knew me. My blood ran cold seeing these. This wasn't random, not a prank. This was a direct communication, a sinister acknowledgement of my presence. It felt like a predator toying with its prey. I felt exposed, vulnerable. It felt like it knew me, was watching me. Every move I made, every corner I turned, I felt its unseen gaze. The bright, cheerful aisles of Target transformed into a maze, and I was being hunted by an invisible entity. I started feeling paranoid, looking over my shoulder constantly. Every flicker of light, every unexpected sound made me jump. Sleep became a luxury, haunted by the screen's cryptic messages and chilling surveillance. My nerves were frayed. The screen in aisle 7 became my personal tormentor. It wasn't just a piece of hardware, it was a window into something malevolent. I dreaded my shifts, knowing I had to face its digital taunts. It was psychological warfare. This was no ordinary technical malfunction. It was intelligent, evolving, and deeply malicious. I felt a growing certainty that I was dealing with something far beyond my understanding, something digital and alive. I knew I had to do something drastic, but what? Every option felt futile against an enemy that seemed to reside everywhere and nowhere at once. The store, my sanctuary, was now a digital prison. My attempts to debug or even unplug the screen were futile. I tried every trick in the book: hard resets, software reinstalls, even physically disconnecting it from the network. Nothing worked. It was beyond my control. It would power back on, seemingly on its own, within minutes. The screen would flicker, then display its cryptic content again. It was like a defiant, sentient being refusing to be silenced. It mocked my efforts. Other nearby screens would briefly flicker with its bizarre content, a ripple effect like a digital infection spreading. For a second, a screen in the next aisle would show a distorted face, then revert to its normal ad. It was contagious. IT couldn't find a network issue. They ran diagnostics, checked the server logs, everything came back clean. They claimed it was just a faulty display, suggesting a simple replacement. They didn't see the personalized messages, the impossible images. They saw only data, not the terror. Their logical explanations felt hollow. But I knew better. This wasn't a simple hardware failure. This was something alive, something digital and malevolent, thriving within the network. It was beyond their technical understanding, beyond their firewalls. It felt like something was actively resisting me, observing me. Every time I tried to fix it, it seemed to push back, to become more aggressive, more direct in its communication. It was a silent battle of wills. The dread grew with each failed attempt. I felt like a small, insignificant human trying to fight an invisible, all-powerful entity. The very air in aisle 7 felt heavy, charged with an unspoken threat. I was losing hope. I started avoiding aisle 7, taking circuitous routes through the store. But even then, I felt its presence, a prickling sensation on my neck. It was always there, a constant, chilling hum in the background of my life. The thought of facing it alone after closing hours filled me with icy terror. I knew the moment would come when I'd be the only one left, and asterisk at asterisk would be waiting. The store became a vast, empty stage for its performance. One night, alone after closing, the moment I dreaded arrived. The store was silent, save for the hum of the refrigerators and the distant air conditioning. I was finishing up my last tasks, my heart pounding in my chest. The screen in aisle 7 displayed a live feed of the empty store. My breath hitched. It was showing a real-time view, slowly panning across the deserted aisles, then it zoomed in on *me*. My blood ran cold. A distorted, synthesized voice emanated from its speakers. It was a guttural whisper, yet loud enough to echo in the vast silence. It called my name, Alex, drawing out each syllable in a chilling, unnatural way. Then it broadcast a chilling message: "We are here, we are everywhere, and now, we are you." The words vibrated through the store, a declaration of invasion, a promise of absorption. My mind reeled. The screen then showed a rapid montage of my personal life photos from my phone, my social media, things I'd never uploaded to Target's network. My vacation photos, my pet, my family, my entire life exposed. It had accessed everything. Panicked, I tried to smash the screen. I grabbed a nearby display stand, my hands shaking, ready to shatter the source of my torment. I had to make it stop, make it disappear. This was pure, primal terror. But it went black just as I swung, then flashed a single, terrifying image. My own reflection, but with eyes of pure static and a grotesque, stretched smile. It wasn't me, it was a demonic mockery. It was *it* looking back. The voice returned, louder now, echoing from the dead screen. You cannot escape us. We are the network. It was a final, chilling pronouncement of absolute control. The realization hit me like a physical blow. Suddenly, all the other screens in the store flickered to life, showing the same distorted reflection. Their speakers emitted a cacophony of whispers and static, a chorus of digital voices, all saying my name. The entire store was alive with it. I fled, resigning the next day without a word. But the fear hasn't left me. Every digital display I see, every screen makes me wonder if it's there, watching, waiting. I've abandoned social media, covered my laptop camera, and can't shake the feeling that the glitch followed me home, now lurking in the countless digital connections that define our lives, just waiting for its next broadcast. I'll never be truly disconnected again. This happened to me. Story 4. I'm Alex, and my job at Target's returns desk was initially mundane. Scan, refund, reshelve, day in, day out. I never expected the ordinary to become something truly terrifying. This happened to me. Then the pattern started. A specific brand of electric kettle, the Aqua Glide 3000, returned. Nothing outwardly wrong, but holding it, I felt a faint, inexplicable coldness, even through my gloves. A week later, another Aqua Glide 3000. Different customer, same story, it just feels off. I dismissed it as coincidence, but the chill was there again, a shiver tracing my arm. Then came the Giggle Gabby doll, a child's toy, returned. My kid won't touch it, the mom said. Holding it, I heard it. A faint whisper, barely audible, like rustling leaves. Another Gabby doll days later, another customer, another vague complaint. The whisper was clearer this time, a soft, drawn-out sigh. The coldness intensified, a tangible weight. I started keeping a mental log. The items were always ordinary, yet they all shared that unnatural cold and the faint, unsettling whispers. It was beyond coincidence. The pattern solidified. The coldness became more pronounced, seeping into my fingers, lingering after I put the items away. The whispers grew, fragments of sorrow and despair. I started noticing the customers, their eyes haunted, desperate to be rid of the items. They'd practically thrust them at me, a silent plea for release. I'll never forget that look. One woman returning a set of ceramic plates nearly trembled. They just feel wrong, she whispered, glancing nervously over her shoulder. The plates hummed with a low, mournful tone. The whispers were no longer indistinct. I heard words now, fragmented but clear, lost, empty, forgotten. My blood ran cold, matching the items themselves. This wasn't normal. I started researching online during my breaks, searching for haunted objects, cursed items, items with dark histories. The search results were a rabbit hole of folklore and urban legends. I looked for specific brand names, serial numbers, anything. Nothing concrete, just a sickening feeling that these items were linked not by manufacturer, but by something far more sinister. The back room where returned items awaited processing became a place of dread. The air was always colder there. I started hearing subtle noises when no one else was around. One morning, I found a stack of returned board games toppled over. No earthquake, no clumsy coworker. It felt deliberate, like something was trying to get my attention. Later, a returned microwave oven slid an inch forward on its shelf. No one was near it. A low hum emanated from it, the whisper now a growl. My heart hammered in my chest. The whispers were stronger, more coherent in the back room. Help me, Trapped, never leave, they echoed through the aisles, a chorus of despair that only I seemed to hear. I felt watched constantly, even at home, alone in my apartment. A cold spot in my living room, a shadow moving just at the edge of my vision. It was invading my life. The coldness clung to my hands. Even after scrubbing, they felt perpetually chilled, a bone-deep frost that wouldn't dissipate. I started questioning my own sanity. Was I imagining it, the stress of the job, the weird customers, but the cold, the whispers, the shifting objects, they felt too real to be mere delusion. This was truly happening. My sleep became restless, plagued by nightmares of cold hands reaching for me from piles of returned merchandise. I dreaded going to work, yet felt compelled to understand. One particularly unsettling item arrived, a vintage porcelain doll, not a giggle Gabby. Its painted eyes seemed to follow me, its smile a cruel rictus. It radiated pure malevolence. The doll was different, the cold was sharper, the whispers a buzzing in my skull. I felt an undeniable pull, a desperate need to know its story, its unclaimed past. Driven by a desperate need for answers, a foolish impulse, I took the doll home. I told myself it was for research, but deep down, I knew I was inviting something terrible. The moment it entered my apartment, the air grew heavy, thick with a suffocating dread. The temperature plummeted. My breath plumed in the cold, even indoors. The whispers became a chorus, not just from the doll, but from every corner of my apartment. Echoes of agony, betrayal, and abandonment. They swirled around me, accusing. I saw flashes of images, a child crying, a woman staring blankly at a wall, an old man clutching his chest. Fragments of lives, of suffering, connected to the returned items. The doll's eyes seemed to glow in the dim light, its painted smile stretched, becoming grotesque. I could feel its malevolent energy pressing down on me, trying to consume me. The truth slammed into me, horrifying and undeniable. These weren't faulty products. They were vessels imbued with the despair of their previous owners, trapping suffering spirits. They refused to stay returned because their purpose was to circulate, to find new hosts, to spread their unending sorrow. I was a gatekeeper, unwittingly facilitating their cursed cycle. The whispers coalesced into a single, chilling voice emanating from the doll. You know now, you're one of us, you can't escape. Panic seized me. I scrambled, desperate to get rid of it. I tried to throw it out, but it felt rooted to the spot, its malevolence a physical force holding it down. I was trapped. The room spun, the whispers grew deafening, morphing into screams. I felt cold hands touching my face, my arms, trying to pull me into the abyss of their despair. I don't remember how, but I finally managed to push the doll out the door into the hallway, then down the trash chute. I collapsed, gasping for air, shaking uncontrollably. The silence that followed was terrifying, a heavy void where the screaming had been. My apartment slowly warmed, but the chill in my bones remained, a permanent scar. The experience left me deeply scarred. Sleep offered no true rest, only fleeting images of haunted objects and despairing eyes. I knew I couldn't escape what I'd learned. Days later, I was back at the returns desk. The fluorescent lights seemed harsher, the cheerful music more discordant. Every item felt like a potential threat. A new customer approached, a young man fidgeting nervously. In his hands, a small, unassuming picture frame. My blood ran cold before he even spoke. "It just feels wrong," he mumbled, echoing the others. As I reached for it, I felt it, the familiar, bone-chilling cold, and then the faint whispers. A new voice, but the same despair, empty, alone, never loved. The cycle continued, unceasing. I was merely a reluctant gatekeeper to these unclaimed pasts. I still work at Target. Every returned item is a potential carrier of a trapped soul. Every customer, a potential victim. I am eternally vigilant, forever tainted by what I know. Sometimes when the store is quiet, I hear echoes of the chorus. The whispers from the back room, faint but persistent, a constant reminder of their presence. I wonder if one of these cursed objects will eventually claim me, if my own despair, my own unspoken fears will become a suitable host for their unending torment. Or perhaps I'm already too deeply entwined. The coldness in my hands, the whispers in my dreams, are they merely memories, or have I become a part of their silent scream? The terror isn't in the jump scares, but in the insidious creep of knowing that beneath the mundane veneer of consumerism lies a horrifying, spiritual underworld. Every return now carries a weight, a story untold, a life tragically concluded. I see it in the chipped paint, the faded fabric, the cold plastic. The smile I offer customers is a practiced mask. Inside, I'm screaming, wondering if they know the darkness they're carrying, or if they're blissfully ignorant of their burden. I often think of the doll. Did it find a new host? Is it still out there, circulating, waiting for another unsuspecting soul to claim? The thought is a constant torment. The items are never truly gone. They are merely recycled, re-entered into the endless loop of consumption and despair. And I am here, watching, waiting. My job description never mentioned being a custodian of lost souls. But here I am, trapped in a retail purgatory, forever haunted by the unclaimed pasts of Target's returns. The whispers never truly stop. They are the background hum of my life now, a chilling reminder that some things once touched by despair can never truly be returned. Story 5. It was a mundane Tuesday Target run. Fluorescent lights hummed, familiar scents filled the air. Nothing unusual until I cut through the apparel section. I wasn't looking for clothes, but my eye snagged on something, a dark shape amidst vibrant colors. An inexplicable, silent hum drew me closer. This happened to me. The dress wasn't flashy, just a simple, elegant black sheath, yet it pulsed with an invisible energy, a promise. My hand reached out without conscious thought. The fabric felt cool and smooth. A strange warmth spread through me, an immediate connection. It was irrational, but I felt chosen, almost compelled. I pulled it from the rack, a size I usually wouldn't consider. My logical brain protested, but an insistent whisper urged me to try it on. The changing room mirror reflected my usual tired self. I slipped into the dress, expecting a struggle, but it slid on effortlessly. It was uncanny. It fit me with uncanny perfection, flawlessly, as if custom-made, every curve accentuated. I'd never felt so beautiful, so utterly transformed. A wave of confidence washed over me. My posture straightened, my head lifted. A new spark ignited in my eyes. I felt powerful. This wasn't just a dress, it was an aura, a transformation. I felt alluring, irresistible. The price tag was irrelevant. I had to have it. I bought it without a second thought. The transaction was a blur. Carrying the bag, I felt a strange lightness, a euphoric excitement. The first time I wore it was to a friend's art gallery opening. I remember the buzz of anticipation, the thrill of looking my absolute best. As I walked in, heads turned, compliments poured in, a cascade of praise. "You look stunning," my ego swelled, basking in the attention. But amidst the praise, a subtle shift began. My wit felt sharper, responses quicker, almost cutting. I spoke with uncharacteristic boldness. My stride was bolder, more assertive. I moved through the crowd with undeniable presence, commanding attention effortlessly. It felt exhilarating. This newfound confidence, however, bordered on arrogance. I dismissed comments, my opinions hardening, my patience thinning for others. "You seem different," my friend Lisa remarked, brow furrowed. "More intense." I brushed it off, but her words lingered, a tiny seed of doubt. I noticed growing impatience, a shortness of temper. Small annoyances became major irritations, sparking disproportionate reactions. My choices grew daring, decisions impulsive. I took risks, driven by an unshakable belief in my own invincibility. It felt reckless. It was thrilling, this feeling of unrestrained power. I felt like I was finally living, embracing my true potential, or so I believed. I wore the dress constantly, finding excuses. It became my second skin, indispensable. I felt incomplete, almost vulnerable without it. Weeks passed, changes intensified. Friends actively avoided me. "You've been so cold," my sister confessed, her voice laced with hurt. I found myself saying hurtful things, sharp words that cut deep. A flicker of regret, quickly overshadowed by a sense of satisfaction. My impulses became erratic, ditching plans, reckless purchases, arguments for the thrill of winning. My behavior was spiraling. A growing detachment from my actions terrified me. I watched a stranger, an aggressive version of myself, from a distance. I was a passenger in my own body, an observer. The dress was a costume, yes, but it felt like it was wearing me. My reflection looked different. My eyes, once warm, now held a cold, predatory glint. It was deeply unsettling, not my own gaze. Sleep became elusive, plagued by vivid, disturbing dreams. I was a puppet, pulled by unseen strings, the black dress the puppeteer. I tried to ignore the dread, rationalizing the changes, but deep down, a cold fear coiled, a primal instinct screaming danger. Friends ceased calling, my social life dwindled. I was alone, save for the constant, comforting presence of the dress. I started talking to it, whispering to the fabric, confiding. It never spoke back, but I felt a response, a subtle tightening, an embrace. One night, after an aggressive outburst at a cashier, profound shame washed over me. This wasn't me. I had to take it off. I went home, heart pounding, desperate resolve hardening. The dress had to come off. I needed to reclaim myself. I'll never forget. My fingers fumbled with the back zipper. It felt stiff, resistant, as if the fabric clung to my skin, unwilling to yield. I pulled harder, but it wouldn't budge, a strange, heavy resistance. It felt fused to me, part of my very flesh. Panic bubbled. I tugged with all my might, twisting and contorting. The dress remained stubbornly in place, an unyielding second skin. I stared at my reflection, wild-eyed, breathless. The dress hadn't moved, but my eyes, they weren't mine. That predatory gleam was back. The horrifying truth dawned, sickening me. The dress was alive, and it was wearing me, a chilling realization. It wasn't just influencing me, it was possessing me, consuming my identity. The confidence, the wit, all its insidious doing. I tried to scream, but only a choked gasp escaped. My voice felt trapped, muffled by the encroaching entity within. This wasn't a fashion statement, it was a parasitic, malevolent force. I was its host, its puppet. I was its prey. Panicked, I stumbled from the mirror, searching for anything to destroy it. Scissors, I grabbed the sharpest pair I could find. I brought the blades to the fabric. It resisted, scissors scraping uselessly, as if hitting solid steel. It wouldn't cut. Frustration turned to fury. I tore at it, ripped at it. The fabric remained intact, mocking my futile efforts, indestructible. Fire, a desperate, irrational thought, but I had to try. I grabbed a lighter, my hands shaking uncontrollably. The flame licked the hem. Instead of burning, the fabric absorbed the heat, glowing faintly, then mended itself. It was impossible. That's when whispers started, insidious thoughts, not my own, slithering into my mind. Embrace it, they urged, let it take over. We are one, they hissed, a voice both mine and alien. You belong to us now. Chilling clarity descended, piercing my soul. It wasn't just influencing, it was becoming me, absorbing my essence. My memories, my personality, my soul all consumed. With a final, desperate surge of fading will, I unhooked the zipper. A small click, the dress fell, a heavy, lifeless heap. I locked it in a reinforced chest deep in my closet, but its influence lingers, a cold echo. This battle continues, haunted by the perfect dress that tried to steal my soul.